What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders Awaken PTR fun. I've been getting lots of questions about the Rogue. The Rogue, of course, is coming as part of that Lycan's Keep update that launches on August 4th, and the Rogue can be a little bit confusing with the stats. Now, the Rogue is the first non-builder hero to hit Dungeon Defenders Awaken. It is a DPS-only hero. However, this hero still wears armor, and the armor, of course, rolls with the 4 builder stats on it. So there's lots of questions on exactly what these stats affect. Now, it's pretty easy to understand if you compare the stats directly to Huntress traps. The 4 builder stats, Fortify, Power, Range, and Rate, are going to affect the 3 devices. Or I should say 3 of the 4 builder stats are going to affect the 3 devices. We'll get into that momentarily. So the Arcing device, the Noxious device, and the Napalm device are the only things that will be affected by those 4 builder stats. However, you will find these very intuitive to use, and you will be using them quite frequently. Now, each individual stat is going to affect it differently. However, the range stat is not going to affect anything on the Rogue. So, Fort, Power, and Rate is all you need. You never have to worry about range on your Rogue. Starting right here at the top, Fortify is going to affect the duration of that device. So, you pop your Arcing device, there's a stun out there on the enemy. The duration of that stun is going to be decided by your Fortify stat. Power is going to be a direct damage multiplier. It's going to just straight up make the devices hit harder. So Power is still always going to be king as far as the devices go on the Rogue. And then Defense Rate is going to affect the cooldown. And we can actually see this right here in the spellbook. If we look at, say, the Arcing device, it has a cooldown of 9.843 seconds. If we go ahead and dump in a little bit of rate directly into it, and then we take another look, we're going to see the Arcing device is now 9.316 seconds. So your defense rate will directly affect your cooldown of your Arcing device and your Noxious device and the Napalm device for all 3 of your devices. Once again, range is not going to affect these at all. Now, what about your other abilities? You've still got your Disengage, you've got your Swift Assault. What is going to scale those items? Well, those are just straight abilities, and they will be modified by your ability stat. So if you throw your ability stat in, you are going to do more damage on those individual abilities. Now, stealth is going to be affected by just one thing as well, and that is the ability stat also. By cranking up your ability stat or making sure you have ability as a priority on your stealth, it is going to reduce the overall cooldown of the stealth. Now, the stealth is still going to last the same amount of time, however, it will reduce the cooldown. So here we see we're 9.525 seconds. If we throw in a bunch of ability, then we are going to get that lowered down to 8.466 seconds. So you directly reduce your cooldown of your stealth by stacking the ability stat. And then now we have Carnage. Now Carnage is the spin to win. It's super duper fun, and it is affected by a lot of different things. The very first most important thing that's affected by is your weapon, your melee weapon. It's affected by the melee damage. In this case, I'm using this Fused Dragon Temper, and it's got 102.7k fusion damage on it. Now, this is going to directly affect the damage of our Carnage. So, whatever element you have on your melee weapon is the element that Carnage will deal. If it's, say, an electric element, then Carnage is going to deal that electric or lightning damage. If it's a rifted weapon, then Carnage is going to deal fusion damage. Now, this is the number 1 modifier. Getting yourself a decent melee weapon, even if you don't plan on using the Rogue in a melee fashion, is still going to be important, as it's going to affect the damage of your Carnage ability. Now, Carnage is also going to be affected by the attack stat. Now, this one's kind of backdooring its way in, as the attack stat, of course, is going to raise the melee damage of your weapon, which in turn is going to affect the damage of Carnage. So your attack stat should also be prioritized on the Rogue for the Carnage and the Spin to Win. And then additionally, ability. Ability is a raw damage modifier for Carnage. To be honest with you, it doesn't feel like it scales as well as attack. However, ability does scale up your Carnage damage. So all three of your hero stats, Vitality, Attack, and Ability, will be very important for the Rogue. Vitality, of course, just to stay alive. Attack and Ability to up your damage and reduce your cooldowns. So hopefully this helps everyone understand a little bit about what the stats do on the Rogue. It can be confusing. As I mentioned, I think the easiest way to think about it is, with the exception of that range stat, just think about these as if they're Huntress traps, because they're going to do the exact same thing on the traps as they do on the Rogue's devices. So that will do it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Once again, August 4th, Episode 1, the Lycan's Keep update does arrive, and I am absolutely stoked and looking forward to it. So thanks so much, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.